Welcome to the Critically Curious. I'm the Monk, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Avengers. Now, it's currently an open beta right now, which is what I'm giving you footage from the open beta. And this is kind of the very final time that anyone's going to get a chance to see this game before release. So what we play today is pretty much going to be the final game. I really can't see too much being changed. They're literally trying to just get as many people on playing the game as possible. That way, maybe you can find the final bugs in the game. Obviously, this was published by Square Enix and it was developed by Crystal Dynamics. So what to say about this game? Well, it's a third person. It is single player, multiplayer, and there's going to be a co-op feature. I'm not as sure how that's going to play out. Obviously, I didn't play with anyone else. It was just myself. And of course, you play as the Avengers. Now, in the Avengers, you have got all the original guys from the Avengers. They've added Miss Marvel. If you're on PlayStation, you'll also be able to play as Spider-Man. And that seems to be it. There don't seem to be any extra guys. There's going to be lots of interesting boss fights and bad guys coming up, I'm sure, in this. There's going to be features from that end. When it comes to the good guys, all you get is what you see on the screen, really. It is your basic Avengers, no one else. So options-wise, I didn't really see any options, to be honest with you. I think this is definitely made for console. I think PC players are going to be disappointed because, like I said, this game was made for console. Graphics-wise, this game looks really good, and although these Avengers aren't modeled off the movies, I'm not entirely sure why. I think they wanted to go in a slightly different direction. Maybe it's something to do with cost as well, but these definitely aren't the actors from the movies. And it doesn't matter too much. We all know who Thor is, and we all know who the Hulk is, and we know what they're supposed to look like and how they're supposed to act and what their powers are. So as long as they get them right, I really don't mind too much. Like I said, graphically, this game does look really, really good, and sound-wise, it sounds great. When you're throwing Thor's hammer, or when you're exploding a truck for the 50th time, the sound effects that are in the game sound really crisp, really clear, and it looks and sounds great. It really does. Gameplay, however, for me, is where this game lacks quite a lot, because here's the thing. I could do a review for my child and for other people's children, and I think that this game really, really does suit that age bracket. We're talking early teens to, I really don't think this game has much scope for anything older than 13. I think the area that they're aiming for is around then, and the gameplay suits too. My child is 6, and most of the footage you're seeing right now, she actually done herself. It's not difficult to get through a level with button smashing, and the buttons are extremely simple. There is a quick attack, there is a strong attack, and then you have, a ranged attack and a couple other special abilities. But it doesn't matter who you play as, unfortunately. You can play as Thor, you can play as Iron Man or the Hulk, even play as Miss Marvel, and they all play exactly the same. The animations may be slightly different, but the end result is the same. When you press a button on one character, it pretty much does exactly the same thing on any other character. And that was a little bit disappointing, because I think the difference between Thor and Captain America is obviously that there is quite a bit of difference. I think when you play as Iron Man, the added ability to fly is good. It definitely gives it a little bit more to the dynamic, but ultimately it is very, very repetitive. And so I can see, you know, young kids really enjoying this game because it's very straightforward. Obviously, it's the Avengers, so, you know, it is going to be appealing to them anyway. For a die-hard Avenger fan like myself, I would have wanted a little bit more scope, a little bit more detail, and a little bit more diversity, because if there's one thing this game lacks, it is definitely diversity. And unfortunately, that's probably going to be why I don't get this game. Now, obviously, I am meaning for myself. I may be buying this for my kids. I can definitely see for Christmas this being on their list. But like I said, for me personally, I'm a little bit disappointed, but it does look like a great game. Visually, like I said, this is a really hard one for me to rate, because if I was rating it on what I'd want from this game, I'd only give it a 5 out of 10. And if I rate this game for what it is, I guess, you know, for the demographic it's actually aiming at, I think this is a strong contender for a really good game. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10, because although I'm disappointed with what's in this game, I really do feel like it's only because I wanted something out of this game, not that the developers necessarily got something wrong, unfortunately. Something that I don't like about this game, though, other than the gameplay, is loot boxes. Now, um, I will put a bit in this video of what you can do with the loot boxes. Basically, at the end, you can find different customization pieces. They visually change your character, which is quite nice. And they give you a little buff, really. And at the end of the day, for me, that's also a major problem. When you're playing as the Hulk, for instance, you're really not the Hulk. Because you can be beat up and you can be stunned and stopped and hurt by the smallest grunt in this game. And for me, that's wrong. You know, I understand if one of these guys are fighting Captain America, but when it comes to the Hulk, he's an absolute beast. And he should be treated as such. And you should feel that way when you're playing him in the game. You know, I think the difference between Tony Stark and the Hulk, although they may be able to have a fight, is the fact that Tony Stark, Iron Man, he has a brain, therefore, you know, he has different things. Well, I'm not saying Hulk doesn't have a brain, but he's smart. He's really smart. You know, he finds a way out of this situation, and he always has a tool that he can use. But like I said, all the characters play exactly the same. They all feel exactly the same, and they can all be beat up and killed, unfortunately, by the lowest level grunt in this game if you make a mistake. And that's a shame. I think that they've missed a step there for sure. But anyway, back to the loot boxes. The loot boxes are everywhere in this game. Now, I don't believe I've missed a loot box since playing this beta, because you would have to be blind to miss them, because they literally highlight them for you very clearly. This game wants you to find these loot boxes. It wants you to want that loot. And again, that's why it brings me to the age range on this game. And unfortunately, I think that that's really, really bad. Now, I'm really hoping that the only way to get loot boxes is through gameplay and there aren't microtransactions. But this is 2020 we're talking about, and the gaming industry doesn't think that way. So I really hope that you can't buy loot boxes in this game, because like I said, this is marketed towards children, and for me that is a massive no-no. But trying not to be too negative, you know, it is nice that the gear, it changes your character's physical appearance. I think that makes a nice change. It's a shame that this could possibly turn out to be a looter, you know, an action looter, and I really do think that that's what this game could be. Now, of course, you know, I've only played the beta, I've only played the early levels, and so gear in the early levels of any looter game really isn't that important. But as you go on, if the Hulk isn't equipped with the right trunks, you know, he's not going to be able to fight anyone in the game, which is a shame. He's going to be out leveled and outmatched and outgeared, and that unfortunately is going to be a real shame for this game. So for me, considering my view and how I'd rate this for kids as well, my final rating for this game is going to have to be a 6.5. It can't do much better than that. It definitely has promise, but unfortunately, there's too many things that I'm not happy with in this game. But I have been the Monk, and we have been a Critically Clueless. I really hope you've enjoyed this review. I think ultimately it's going to be about the age range you're buying this game for. And for the right age range, I think it could be great. And even then, there are definitely problems. But I will catch you again soon. More videos on the way.